Now when you're rolling, you need a good roller. I use a standard household size. There's a wider one that you can actually get, but I find that the household ones are actually cheaper, and a lot of them are throwaway. So most of the painting nowadays, brushes even included, instead of looking after them like we used to in the old days, we still look after them, but they're throwaway. $6-7 you get a good brush and you use it on a job, or a couple of them on a job, and biff them out. Roller sleeves the same, but you can get some really good roller sleeves. I'm using a 9-inch, a 9mm nap on this one, and I've got one of these big, it's not the longest one, often I use a longer one than this, but this is one of those retractable holes that you can drop down when you're doing walls and extend when you're doing lower ceilings like this one. A lot of the old Queenslanders that I do around the place, with tongue and groove on the inside, I use sheepskin because it's got a longer nap and it gets in the cracks, but even then you've still got to brush out the cracks first before you put your roller on. So generally the idea is you work from the light and away from the light. So you start where the light is and move yourself away, and you try and keep your strokes, your rolls smooth, consistent, lapping the edges. The first one I run along the edges, and I generally run straight into that 50mm that I've left when I did the scotia, and then I take it right back. Now I'm using a flat finish here. It's a Taubman's Trade X ceiling paint, which is good coverage. I like to, if it's white, I tend to like to have a little bit of black in it. So Lexicon's a good colour, it's got a little bit of black in it, and it tends to cover better. So I run up the edges first, and then I fill in the gaps. Work around the light bulb, let it dry. Generally it's pretty good to run a crisscross pattern, the second one just cross, but I find that coverage with a flat finish hides a lot of things and you can't see your joins, depending on how patchy your ceiling is, of course, at the start. So here we go. You don't necessarily have to run the whole line when you're doing ceiling flat. Low sheen, I generally like to do a whole line right to the back and then start again. So you roll away from the roll and then back over it. Other thing about ceilings, if you're going to do a ceiling, you finish it. You don't leave it halfway done. Sometimes you can't help it. If you do, make sure you feather off the edge so you don't end up with any ridges on your ceiling. Otherwise you're in for a bit of a sand again. Now if this was a new house, what I would do is mask up all the windows. Of course it hasn't got any floor linings as yet, so all the windows masked up, the doors are taken off, right through the house. Then I'd go through and spray it with a sealer first. Then I'd go through with a sander, pole sander, and muscle my way around the house and sand it all down. Then I'd do the ceilings, spray the ceilings in to finish. Then I'd sand the walls again. Then I'd cut the walls in and roll them. Sometimes you can spray the walls in first and then cut the ceilings in, but depends. The different methods for different people. And generally you do a spray finish. Where in New Zealand there are houses where you've just got to do a spray finish on the houses. That's their requirement, and they wallpaper them, so everything including the enamel is all sprayed, and there's no brushes involved. But over here often they spray and they back roll. You can do that as well. You can spray your first coat to a point, roll down from the ceiling on the walls, spray your first coat, even second, and just back roll, and you can hide a whole lot of stuff. You've got to be careful you don't get overspray going up over your scotia and discolouring it.